Holy Wire Mod.
Holy Wire Mod here, and this is going to be tutorial 6B in the Lewis series, where we're going to be continuing SWEPs. And since we have this SWEP already set up, or this example set up for a revolver, we're going to be making ranged weapons, more specifically a revolver. So after you have all this stuff set up, and if you're not familiar with this, you should check the last video. The next thing you want to put is either which is optional. You can define some local variables here. So we're going to be defining a local shoot sound. Remember, because it's local here, it's only going to be accessible to the weapon example.lua and not the other luas above. So we're going to say shoot sound is equal to a sound that is weapon underscore 357 dot single. And there's a list of sounds online. I'll provide a link below for a bunch of weapon sounds. And then after you have your variables, and you can set up a bunch more local variables that you want to access later on, you're going to want to put functions. So one key function or useful function for SWEPs is the Initialize function. And that's to say if you want to have any things initialized in here, like for example, you remember we defined the hold type right here. Well, what if we want to set it up in the initialize function? We'd put self, which is going to represent the SWEP. Remember, it's pretty much like saying SWEP up here. And then we'll say set hold type just as we would up here. And instead, we're going to put it in the parentheses. We're going to put pistol, okay? And that's saying the exact same thing as this. Now, you can put other things initialized. This is just an example. But the other important functions for the SWEP would be primary attack, which we'll get into in a second. And you also have secondary attack. So if you want to have a secondary attack, you can put some stuff here as well. But since we're doing a revolver in this example, and we have this stuff up here set to where we're not going to have a secondary attack, we're going to use another function saying can secondary attack, to which we are going to return false, okay? So that's to say that we can't actually perform a secondary attack. Now you can put a bunch of functions in here, like for example, should drop on die right here. You can set that up as a function. So you say SWEP should drop on die, and then we would return whatever this value is, so return true. But we don't really need that. It doesn't hurt to have it anyway, but we're going to get rid of that. So that's just for an example. You can also set up like the HUD or whatever, but we're going to get into HUDs a little bit later. I just want to kind of keep it simple here. So let's get into the meat of bones of this SWEP, which is going to be the primary attack. So a good way to start any attack would be to say if not self can primary attack. Remember, it's just the can primary attack here is the same thing as like can secondary attack. It's a check to see if you can actually do a primary attack. Then end. So we'll say return. Alright, so then return, and we'll end it. So this is to say if it's true that you can primary attack, it's going to negate this with the not function, or the not, and it's going to ignore this if statement. Elsewise, if you cannot primary attack, then this if statement will become true, which will execute a return, which will then get out of this function and not execute any of the following lines after the if statement. Alright, so we're going to want to define a local variable, which is going to be player, or play, and we'll say that is the SWEP's get owner. Okay, so remember when you're saying self, it's like you're saying SWEP up here when referencing, or it's more specifically, it's referencing this SWEP right here. Okay, so we're saying local play self get owner, and this is very important, or else you're going to have so many issues. You're going to want to put lag compensation on, and at the end, I'm going to do this right now just not to forget or anything, at the end, after you're done all your commands, the last thing you want to put is lag compensation false. Alright? And that's going to save you a lot of issues because I don't know if I can explain it right now, but there's a bunch of problems that happen if you do not add this last lag compensation. Alright? So from here on, it's just pretty much making what the SWEP does. So generally, we're going to have to create a bullet, right? Because that's what we want this gun to do. We want it to shoot a bullet. And here we're going to define a table or a list of things. So we're going to say local bullet, all right? And then we're going to say bullet. So we're going to access this, say bullet.num, and a tab. Should do 2 tabs because yeah, it gets a little lengthy on the following parts of this table. So we're going to say self.primary and num shots, all right? And then we're going to say bullet src. So that's going to be like this the source, or you can say. So we're going to get the position, or the shooting position of the player, or the owner, or whoever has the SWEP or is holding the SWEP. And then we're going to get the direction, right? So we're going to say player and get aim vector. And that's going to get this in a vector format for the direction of the bullet. Now, we can also set up things such as bullet.spread. So that also comes in vector form. And we say self.primary spread. Alright, so up here you remember we defined primary spread up here, so it's saying SWEP primary spread, but since self represents SWEP, we put self primary spread right here. Alright, and then we're going to put a comma, and then we're going to put self.primary spread, and then we're going to put 0. Okay? So this is a method of actually getting data. Right here, you remember self, also, I should have said this earlier too, but self primary num shots. We're simply gathering all this predefined information. Alright? So we can set up a tracer. Like, do you want to be able to follow the shot that you made? Let's say 0. Bullet damage. It's going to be self primary damage plus, like, you can say if you want to add it to where like certain players get a bonus, you can say some information or whatever, like plus 10 or whatever, if you want to modify the damage. But for now, we set the damage to 1,000, so we don't really need to add any modifications. So this is just to help you get a better understanding of what you can do. Alright, so we're going to have another one called bullet ammo type. And here we're going to have, you guessed it, the primary dot ammo, which also was defined up here. Okay, so that's going to define this local table right here. And then after this table has been set, we want to make the SWEP fire the bullets, right? And what bullet are we going to fire? Well, that's going to be this table right here. Fire bullets takes in a table right here, which is why we had to define all this like that. So just to give you a little bit of clarification. So we can add some shoot effects if we want to make it fancy looking. And then, well, the next thing that happens typically is we emit a sound, right? When we shoot a gun, there's a sound associated, so we're going to do shoot sound, all right? And remember, shoot sound was defined up here as a local variable, and it's going to be doing this sound right here. And then we'll have self base class shoot effects, and you do that to the self, all right? And then after you shoot the shot, you need to reduce the amount of ammo which you have. So you're going to take primary ammo 1, and you're going to set the next primary fire. So this is going to be the delay time between the shot that you just shot and your next shot. And we're going to say that's cur time plus self primary delay. And this cur time is like it's a very small value depending on the server. Alright, so now all we have to do from this point is to actually give the player the weapons in game. So we're going to go team setup.lua, and before that we're going to go in here. You remember this is my game mode, entities, weapons, and I put a folder called weapon example. So I'm going to copy this and paste this here, and that's the main reason I created a folder here, so I didn't have to go through some nonsense. But anyway, what you'd want to do is to put weapon underscore revolver. Okay, and that's going to identify the new weapon that we just made. So we're going to take the name of this Lua file, which is weapon revolver, and we're going to put it right here, so revolver. And then get rid of this, and revolver. Alright, so now just save that, and I'm going to go start the server up right here. Alright, so we are now in game, so let's check out the revolver and see how it works. So generally there is going to be errors because I'm not a perfect being, so let's see what the errors are. This is actually good because it gives me a chance to show you how to decode. So you can do it one or two ways. You can press the tilde key, which is next to your 1 key for those who don't know what the tilde key is, and you can go in the console and look at the Lua errors here, or alternately you can go into your developer console for the server and look at the logs and see what's going on. So both of them say the same thing. For the sake of being able to highlight, I'm going to use the developer or the console endgame. It says the Lua file weapon underscore revolver line 59 has an issue with the variable play, which is reading as a nil value. Alright, so let's go into that file. So right here we have weapon underscore revolver, and open up, go to line number 59, play. There's an issue with that, and right here there's no equal sign set. So we're going to put equal sign, go back in game, and now try to shoot it. Well, it shoots, but there's another error. So let's check that out. And it says line number 76, there's an issue with global index self, which is reading as nil value, and that's very simple because self cannot be uppercase. It must be lowercase to reference the SWEP right here. So I'm actually glad this happened to give you an idea of what you need to do to fix your bugs. So now we could shoot and it works fine. If we go here, it says author holy wire mod instructions left click shoots, just as we defined up here, holy wire mod left click shoots. Alright, so if you have any more bugs that you need to fix or issues that you need to fix and you can't figure it out, I recommend going to facepunch.com. And next video we're going to be going over melee weapons. So in that video I will see you then, and I hope you guys enjoy.